tried
No, it'll
this
be to the
time.
cloud. Yep, there we go. All right, so we are recording now.
I saw the transcript. At least that worked. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. Sorry about that. I mean, look,
all
I've
good.
I've saved a
All good.
bunch of these and no problem. They're like, oh yeah, that's what happened. I'm like, great.
It's all good. It's
Yeah,
all
man.
good.
So,
Um,
Aaron, I want to get you on with Jason. Obviously, I mean, he's been with the franchise. He's been franchisee for 22-ish years. Jason, is that correct?
Since 2003, if you could
Oh wow,
believe.
okay.
wow.
Yeah, so
Very nice.
so
I was
he's
there.
learned.
I think I was the 25th franchisee at that time. They were still kind of a young company at that point.
Crazy. So, what's the benefits, would you say, of going franchisee versus, let's say, opening independently?
I hear that from a lot of people. I mean, the franchise gives you the structure, and a lot of people. I don't think I would ever have been successful if I hadn't done this
Wow.
as a franchise system, just because in the beginning, you don't really know how to attack this business, and they give you the database system. They give you an avenue on how to present the service to agents. So, I'm obviously a big believer. I don't know. You spoke with our company president, with Stedman. Is that correct? Did you speak with? Oh, you didn't. Okay,
No.
he's been around. He invented this, I think, in 1995. He was
Wow.
a broker in the DC area that had like 250 agents, and the agents were constantly knocking on the door looking for an advance.
Right.
And he figured out if you're the broker, it puts you in a bad spot because the agent wants money from you. You don't want to say no and turn off a good producing agent, and you don't want to say yes and reach into your pocket. It's a lot easier to say, oh, you know what? Here's a company called Commission Express. Call them.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm a New Yorker myself. I live in Rochester, New York,
Very nice.
and I got a little bit of real estate background. My family's done property management up here for years. I did a lot of
Nice.
apartment rentals, that kind of stuff. But I was looking for something that would, as a real estate adjunct 20 years ago, and
Mhm.
I had a family friend that was actually running one of the very first franchises in Palm Beach area, and he was saying that the business was awesome. Agents loved it, and it was a natural. All I remember is him saying that once you got an agent signed up, he was with you for life. It was
Wow.
every deal or every other deal, and so I was intrigued, and I there was no franchise obviously in Western New York. I kind of started from scratch here, and it's a real conservative real estate market. I don't know how it's different upstate than it is in
Yeah, I
New
mean, I'm
York
from
City
Brooklyn.
area.
It's a little bit different here. We're quite
Yeah.
opposite markets.
So it took a couple of years to break in, but once agents got used to the idea that they could get paid right away, especially here in New York where we're an attorney state and it takes forever to get paid. You got to wait. And I would say anytime you involve attorneys in something, it doesn't make the process quicker for closings.
Right.
So a lot of times agents have to wait 2 or 3 weeks after closing to even get the check in New York.
Right.
It's not like other places where agents go to the table and get paid. So I started running the business full time by 2005, 2006, and just steadily grew from there. I added
Very
on
nice.
different territories, and I added on Southwest Florida, like Naples area, in 2011, and the franchise in Tampa and Orlando a couple of years after that. And essentially, I was just looking to get exposure to more customers, more deals, and Florida is the way to go. Florida, I found, has
Really.
more agents than anywhere else. There are more transactions. It's been a boom. I was able to really increase the number of overall transactions I had outstanding. But I don't know if you talked to Michael. I have a home in Marco Island area, so that was kind of my home base for my Florida marketing. And a couple of years ago, I had a fishing accident, and I took a one of those little lead split shots. Those little things you take, and yeah,
I
you don't
played.
even want to
I'm
know.
a bit. We like to
You don't
fish
even
as well,
want to
so I don't.
know.
I don't want to
So
hear this.
anyway,
Oh God.
it was brutal. So anyway, but my plan was to move down to Florida and do this Commission Express full time in Florida,
Yeah.
and it's kind of derailed my plan. I don't see myself being able to go to the shows like I used to. I used to be a real, I used to do 20 real estate shows a year and
Wow.
going to the real estate offices. Since the injury, I've kind of slowed down my in-person marketing. I do a lot of my stuff in the office, and I realized that I just want to make my life a little simpler. And I don't mind running just the territories that I have here in New York so much. And I don't travel as much to Florida as I did before. So that's
Right.
why I've put the three markets for sale, essentially.
Got it. So you're operating Commission Express in Rochester, correct?
I run it 98% from here.
Okay,
Because
got
we
it.
are local service, Commission Express bills itself on having local territories. That's kind of why we're different than the other internet companies that offer our service. So in order to have a protected territory, you have to have a like a local office in that area, which I
Ah,
do. I've had a house there for 10 years.
got it.
Lately, I mean, I used to go down there every month and a half to do a show, whether it was the Marco Island show, Naples, Fort Myers. Every real estate association has like a once a year agents day. So I was constantly going back and doing local shows, and that's the way I was really penetrated the market. But the last year or so, I've really just kind of been basing it on my repeat business agents that I met along the way. I have not been doing any shows really. It's been like
Right.
it's a big change for me. But
Yeah, I understand. I understand. That was one of the questions I had for Michael the other day when we spoke. Is just like marketing and onboarding. What would be the best way to do that? I guess is it seems like Commission Express definitely gives you a nice flow of leads, or would you say it's more on your end than Commission Express?
it's more on our end. They give you a base, but the focus with Commission Express is to get yourself out there, whether it's through digital marketing is fine. Also, connecting with agents at fairs or at their office. What happens with us is agents are transient. They often move from one office to another. And what happens is they take Commission Express with them because agents that I work with, they'll do deal after deal. Once you have them doing an advance on one commission, they
Right.
remember and they say,
You're
"Wow,
like
that was really
factoring them.
nice."
I got it.
Exactly.
Great.
So, but what happens is they'll end up, maybe 3 or 4 years later, they're doing better as an agent. They'll move up to a better company. They'll bring us with them, and hopefully they'll mention us to the agents at their new office. It's kind of how we spread through word of
Love that.
mouth. I
Word
pay
of mouth.
referrals to an agent. I can't get enough referrals paid. I always tell agents I'll pay them $200 if they mention us to an agent and agent mentions their name when they call. Because essentially the key is getting the quality agents signed up, getting them used to the idea that they can determine when they want their commission, that they're not beholden to whenever their check may arrive, that they can determine that day when the money's in their account. Once you show them that, our business almost becomes like a line of credit for real estate agents. I
I
mean,
love
just think
it.
about anybody. If you offered anybody a $10,000, $20,000 line of credit, but you told them, it's really expensive, don't use it. Okay.
Right.
Don't use it, but it's there if you need it. In the case,
Yeah.
a lot of times,
You gotta use it. You gotta
even
use
you
it
and
every
me,
week.
it's just the
They
way
do
it
it.
goes. You offer it to them and they'll use it.
And
Right.
one thing, let me jump in one thing, Aaron, just so you know, on a speaking on a broker and an agent end, because I've used it, my agents have used it, is they don't even lose the money, that interest, because it's a write-off at the end of the year. I mean, I've asked Jason every year, I get my reports, and 100% of that I write off on my taxes. So I'm lose the cash on the front end, but on the back end, I still write it off. And
I
it's
understand.
I always stress that to agents that as long as you're using it for a business purpose, which
yeah.
they always say they are, then you can write off whatever the cost is for the advance. What's amazing, Aaron, is, obviously the cost for the advance is not cheap. We charge a rate of 8 or 10% based on 30 or 60 days. So figure what that comes out annualized. Doesn't
Yeah,
take,
no, that's great.
my average rate of return on each advance is between 80 and 90% IRR per deal.
Crazy. I saw you started about 12 and a half, and if it's a recurring customer, you'll go to 10, is it? And then 8?
No, it's actually not that way. I evaluate each deal individually and I kind of price accordingly. The general baseline that I say is 8, 10, and 12% for 30, 60, and 90-day deals. It's kind of 8% for 30 days is a generalized. But if the deal is, if for any reason gives me any concern, I could always tell the agent, well, on this deal, we have to charge 10% because it's a commercial transaction or it's a multi-unit. So there is some variation, but that's kind of the baseline is the 8, 10, and 12% for 30, 60, 90. I don't usually go much more than 90 days out on a closing. I want these deals churning. I want my money on the street, back in my account with the discount banked, and then let's do another one. Let's do a new deal.
Can
The
we talk a
amazing
little
thing
bit
is,
about the bad of it now? You know, the deadbeats of the world, the guys that jump industry, you know,
right,
that's
that's,
about, you know,
that's,
I'm a skeptic by nature, so sorry if I'm going there.
there is an element to that in our business. Obviously, there's, you can't have a dream return without a portion of the receivables that you do that fall through, that don't close. But the perception that I had, it seems like a lot of people feel like, oh, you must be dealing with collections all the time, that agents and brokers typically have this kind of, not going to say used car salesman, but a little bit of a shadiness to them. And the idea is, oh, it must be hard to get your money back if something goes wrong. You'd be surprised. I actually have found, I said, I've used to work in property management, so I'm used to dealing with the regular public tenants. Those people are a nightmare to deal with. Working with just real estate agents and real estate brokers is actually a huge benefit because they are professional, licensed people. Unlike me, who in the factoring business, I don't have to have a license to do this. The broker has a responsibility. He's got a professional license with the Department of State. So if he completely lies to me, makes up something, fabricates a deal, or steals my money, takes the commission after closing, I can say, hey, listen, you're in violation of your license. I'm going to have to file a complaint with the Department of Real Estate. And that pretty much takes care of it 99% of the time, because most of the advances I do are in the 5-10 grand range. Do you really want to mess up your real estate license for that amount? You have more invested in your, I never actually do this, but it's within my power to do. And that is a big force. The other thing is, in real estate, you tend to use the same title companies. In Florida, it's a title company state. So once I work with an agent for a while, I get to know their patterns. I know the other companies they work with, other agents, the title companies that they prefer. So in the rare occurrence where I have a broker that suddenly decides he wants to disappear and run, I can go to those title companies and say, hey, so-and-so agent has a default. If he closes any deals at your office, you have to pay commission express. Agents are independent contractors. So when I file a lien on them, it actually sticks versus like when you file a lien against a tenant, you have to get a judgment and a garnishment. And it
You're
felt like
referring
I've never.
to the UCC one?
I file the UCC. I provide a copy of that UCC to anybody that I'm trying to get paid from. And I put in a warning. I say, listen, if you want to ignore it, that's fine, but then you might be liable for the money that you're paying this agent. And it works because they don't want to be liable. They don't want to put their client, which is really the seller of the property who's paying the commission, in jeopardy. So the reality is the number of files that I have that are completely uncollectible is pretty small. There are some agents that decide that, maybe real estate's not for them, and I'm unlucky enough to do their last deal, like their last real estate transaction, and then they go off and do something else. But it doesn't happen that often. I would say usually people in real estate are in real estate for life, and I might have to wait, but there'll be another transaction, there'll be another closing down the line, and usually that's how I get the ones that are
So let's discuss, like, now, I know there's a grace period after, let's just use the 30-day transaction for an example. You're at 8% on 30 days. There's a 30-day grace period as well on that.
Correct.
So
Yep.
you're really in 60 days on that 8%, correct?
However, I only advance them 82%. I hold back
Hold back.
10% as a reserve. That holdback is crucial in our business. It's like a security deposit, basically. That is the impetus for the agent to redeem the advance on time. I don't want agents to give me deals that they know could drag for 6, 8 months. You know, a lot of times there'll be that listing in the office that people know,
Yeah.
just, you know, so I
Never
don't want those.
closes. Yeah.
If the agents still have a hand in the deal, like they still care about getting that 10% back, which could be 500, $1,000, then it keeps them updating me on how the deal is going. If it's delayed, they have a pretty good window, usually 30 days on any kind of residential
And
contract.
you don't make a dollar on that, on those 30 days, correct?
On the extra 30 days, I don't. You know,
So
if that
let's
30
go
day,
30 days more from there. I think there was it an 18% interest rate or something like that?
no, what I do is if they go past the 30-day grace period, they automatically default on the 10% holdback. So my fee goes from 8% up to 18%.
Got it. Got it. But
Um,
and then so let's go further along. They're default, but you obviously still want your money. And then you
if
start
it can,
flipping them on a default rate on the entire balance. Is that what it is?
I do. I can also charge interest if I want. The interest is usually nominal because it's just a
Yeah.
matter of a few months, but I can also add the 18 or whatever the rate is in the state. But yeah, essentially I take the assignment that the agent signed with the UCC and I start surveying it to, first, if it's an agent, all I do is I serve it to the broker. It's real simple. I say if it's Keller Williams agent, a lot of the deals I'm doing are not with broker owners. They're with an agent with a company that has 50, 100 agents. If the deal dies, I tell the broker or the account rep, they'll automatically log it so that the next commission that they have automatically comes to me.
Right.
They don't want, they kind of, the broker has already signed one of my forms. So the broker has no liability in the event that the deal doesn't close. But what they are signing is that if this deal doesn't happen, you will not pay the agent any other commissions until we get paid off.
Got
And
it.
if you do that, then you are liable, essentially. So
Got it.
the brokers want to have an interest to make sure that the agent takes care of the deal that falls out.
Right. That makes sense. Makes sense. What else? Yeah, I had a chance to go through some of your 2024 numbers, 2023 numbers with Michael.
Okay.
Hold on, let me just pull up the P&L from 2023. So he mentioned you have about, is it 450,000 in rotation at all time about?
That's about right. Yeah. I mean,
Four-
it fluctuates based on whenever the hottest mark times of the season is. In Florida, the busiest time of year for pendings is usually January, February, March. It's actually the opposite of what it is here in New York
Right.
because it's more of a snowbird type season down there, and the summers are actually kind of quiet.
One
But
thing I couldn't really track is, let's say, I mean, like you have on your P&L the discount, total discounts, but I don't know, your holdback income is considered a separate category in a sense, correct?
correct. A holdback is only becomes income or additional discount if the deal goes past the 30-day grace period. The reality
You have
is
no metric of tracking it in a sense because it's already like defaulted.
oh, I
Like,
do. It's on our spreadsheet. It essentially, once it goes into default, that automatically becomes additional discount funds. So it's uh on the spreadsheets, it's indicated by the column will be blank for holdback, and then it'll automatically go into the discount or our fee. A lot of the holdback in a lot of instances is a way to keep the agent close to you and giving you updates. If you have a really good agent, which is the goal in this business, to have an agent doing 10 deals a year, 20 deals a year, the holdback is not as important. The holdback can be important on your first time advances with an agent, gives you more of a cushion. But in most cases, what I do is I'll tell the agent, listen, you don't want to lose this 10% holdback. Let's address this now before it gets too long. And we use that as the kind of the tool to keep them close to us.
right. So, I mean, how passive could this business really be is my question. It sounds like it's very, very, very hands-on. Am I understanding that correctly? Like I come from a real estate background, property. I do own and operate property here. I'm not trying to, chase people that
I
are
mean,
clients every day.
so Jason, I guess could it
Mhm.
run with just an admin? I mean, once Aaron would understand and maybe be able to train one of his staff that because I know what's her name, Aunt that works with you. She just handles all your admin, putting out the contracts. Is there an employee base that he could, create to underwrite all the
And
deals?
on, or is it more of like you have to underrate every dollar because it's your money essentially, which probably is the best way, but
In the beginning, you want to underwrite every deal. You want to take a look at it. That's kind of how you learn. But again, because it's such a repeat business type of situation, once you get your 15th deal from the same company, there's no reason why your admin can't process it completely because there's not going to be a huge amount of risk. You've already banked 10 discounts on this person, so you've already gotten your money off the table. Typically, that agent's going to have the same type of transactions. And so the underwriting is minimal once you have a repeat agent. It's just like anything else when you're new. If it's a larger transaction, if somebody's looking for a larger commission, if it's a broker owner, if it's a different type of deal, if it's a commercial deal, you'd probably want to take a look at it yourself. But realistically, I know there's other franchisees that hire an admin and train them pretty quickly over a period of a month to handle inputting the data, essentially following up with agents about closing dates. Is it really the hands-on part is the marketing. Everything can be done from an office remotely. I handle everything from Florida here in Rochester as far as the paperwork. It's just the matter of how aggressively you want to market in person. Obviously, the more in-person marketing you do, the more new agents you'll have, and it'll grow faster. That's
do
but
you
you
stay
as far as
away from I mean, you mentioned a few categories that like you're scared of. Sounds like the people sole practitioner brokers just sounds
always are a little more risky. Yep, if you got a sole broker owner whose office is also in his house, even sometimes the deals just might be a little more shaky. If it's a commercial deal, um, I tend to shy away. If it's, I get sometimes they'll send me new constructions. I'll get from agents that are 6 months out, 8 months out. I don't really. You can do them. There are some franchises that I'll price them very, very high. So, but broker owners certainly have more of a risk because you don't have that additional signature. You don't have the broker of the agent signing your form. What I do have for broker owners is in order to do an advance, I make sure that they have the title rep sign. So on that individual transaction, I know I'm protected. But certainly there is a little bit more risk when you work with a broker versus an agent. Just like anything else, you feel it out as you do advances, as you're doing more and more transactions. You get a sense of we don't run any kind of credit checks, but you can get a lot of information about agents just online and also by doing a general background check. I can nowadays through Zillow, I can tell you how many deals a broker or an agent does per year, ballpark.
Mhm.
And my background check will tell me if they have anything like bankruptcies or if they have any liens filed by other commission advance companies. So between that, I have enough info. I don't need a credit score number to do one of these. I'm not looking at the agent that much. I'm also looking at the deal. Is this deal 99% going to close? Is it a single family house being sold by one couple, being bought by another couple?
Right.
It.
That's
So
the
I'm always saying I'm looking at the deal and the customer. I'm looking at both. Um, but it just comes with experience on how you handle each customer over
I like
time.
the way you had it felt like you were more doing volume on smaller like meaning I'm sure in New York, let's say the advances are going to be 20, 30,000 in my area, let's just say hypothetically.
Yeah.
These are more like smaller, lower risk, higher volume. Is there a number you won't go into? Like what's your absolute cap? 20,000?
I don't have a cap. I've done my largest deal. I think I've done a $60,000 advance. There are some franchises. There used to be a guy in New York City that would do 100, 200 grand
Crazy.
advances.
Is he still in business?
He was very successful. He actually retired a few years ago and moved to Florida too, but he's no longer doing Commission Express. But his model was different. He would only do 20 deals a month, and they would all be very large commissions.
Right.
My model is, especially in upstate New York, the commissions are smaller. So I would try and do as many 2, 3, 4, 5 grand advances, make them up on volume. It allowed me to be a little bit more aggressive, because
Yeah.
I can lose a deal here and there, and I could rationalize it by saying, if I get the right agent, hopefully I can get referrals, I can break in with a broker, so I tend to be pretty aggressive in this business, but it's also based on the size of the deals that you're doing, obviously. So in Florida, the average deal size is bigger than Western New York. I'd say I average around 5 to 10 grand per deal,
Right.
which is normal. The property values are higher. So,
Right. No, I got it. I
uh,
got it. I want to thank
but
you for your time, Jason. I think there's a lot of info. I'm definitely gonna review the tape and come up with any questions I might have. Um,
okay.
Definitely very, very useful information. Um,
I mean, it's a great business. I never would have believed that I've been doing it for, almost
Christ.
25 years,
There's just
but there's
parts of me
really
that
no
pull
other.
this way and parts of me that pull that way. Like, there's just, I guess, just understanding it. I'm just torn about it. Um,
What is
I
I
guess
guess some of your biggest concern, Aaron?
Sounds very, very hands-on, to be honest. Obviously, there's going to be a learning curve of, writing bad paper. I'm assuming on my end. I hear what you're saying, but human nature is to be, oh, this guy, let me just advance it and try to, have hard lessons. I guess is going to be my main model. I don't know, anything on the underwriting side that would make me feel better. I feel like end of the day, it is unsecured. End of the day, you're dealing with guys that need $1,000 sometimes. That's always, a pretty could be a bottom tier client.
Well,
there,
Jason, speak to a number, specific number of your collections, because you know
What
it
kind of
doesn't really
default rate are you
reflect.
seeing, Jason?
it's different. The default rate is misleading because a lot of my deals will go into default, maybe 20%, which means they'll go past the 30-day grace period. No
Right.
big deal. Um, uh, Deals get delayed all the time in real estate. That's not a problem. The number of deals that I actually send to collection, I actually did a study that I no longer pursue. I have to send to somebody else is a little over 1%, about
Oh wow,
1.5%, 1 in 100.
that's not bad.
Because there's so many recourses to me, I almost in the cases where it becomes a problem, I have so many ways that I can try and get my lien attached to them. It's really just the cases where they leave the business. I mean, you have sometimes where they completely go underground. It happens, but it's hard to be a successful agent and do that. So it's 1 out of 100 really, where I throw my hands up and I give it to a collection agent. The reality is the collection agents really aren't usually that helpful at that point. That's just kind of the nature of any business. But um, I found that the reality is the convertibility of these deals is extremely high. And even though it seems hard to believe because the IRR is tremendous, if it wasn't that way, I wouldn't stick with it. Now there is a bit of there is work involved in converting those deals. Obviously, you can't just ignore your advances and expect them all to come into you. And there is a matter of following up and being on your transactions that you have outstanding. But that's with any business. It's just like anything else. It's the learning curve. After you do this, after you start doing your 100th advance, you become so familiar with what the agents are looking for. There is a desperation with agents. Obviously, there'll come a Friday where they need $1,000, and but they're not going to fabricate something. They're giving you what they have in their pipeline. Their commission. I get a lot of deals, Aaron, that are closing in a week. You'd be
Right.
surprised because
Yeah, I saw some of those. I was like, whoa.
it doesn't help
He's
them
going
that
through
it's
it.
closed. Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't, if they need the money this Friday, it doesn't help them that they're going to get it next Friday. So
Right. Makes
it's
sense.
great. And, I have IRRs that are 200%, and those help, make up whatever sometimes they're uncollectibles. And at the end of the day, I don't, the uncollectibles are not a hindrance to this business. To me, I just can't manage the Florida business the way that I used to or that I wanted to by going down there all the time. And I can manage it by processing the deals. That's fine, but I can't add my new customers the way that I like to. I can't get the great customers that I used to add by going to a trade show, meeting them firsthand, and then talking on the phone a week later. That's how I get these repeat customers. So I just can't do that. I need to simplify and just do here in New York for the next few years.
Makes sense.
And
Makes sense.
that's-
Give me your
that's why
biggest
I'm at
pro
where
and
I'm at.
con of the business. One last final pro and con of the business.
Well, the pros is, obviously I'm not going to have it, is the IRR. When I was first starting out, I was in my early 20s and I had friends that were going to business school. And they were looking at all these different business opportunities. Where can I invest money and what kind of rate can I get back on the money that I'm investing? They were looking at restaurants, and I was looking at their IRRs at the end of the day, and it was ridiculous. It was very small, and I couldn't believe. I'm like, I said, at the end of the day, this business, for what I am investing, I am getting more of a return than anywhere else I can put my money.
Yeah.
Now, it's just like anything else. When you're putting your money on the street, nobody is going to watch it except for you. You can hire some employees to help you do the data entry. And if you get a good one, they'll help you, just like on rent collection. A good office manager will help you pull it. But at the end of the day, that's your money on the street, and you got to be a hawk on it. And if you let it slip, if you're not on it, things can get by you, and agents will slip through the cracks. So that you do have to, you do have to be on your toes, and you have to have a real estate knowledge. I think helping a real estate background helps with you, but I find that some people come into this business, some of the franchisees in the past, they've seen it just based on the numbers. They don't have the real estate background, and the agents know more about the business than they do, and that's death. If the agent's talking to you on the phone and they could tell that you don't really know enough about real estate, then it's a weak link. So I feel like that's really a key to our business is, having a little bit of base in real estate definitely helps. So.
Oh, no, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you
No,
guys.
no problem.
Michael,
One
Jason,
one
thank you
last
for your
thing,
time.
Aaron, is
If I
that
generate some questions, I'll definitely reach back out. Please send me the recording.
yeah,
I'll
no, as soon as
love
we
to
hang up,
review it
it'll
and,
process in the cloud. I think it'll come from Zoom if I can email it that way.
okay, perfect. Thank
So
you guys. Have a great day.
fantastic. You guys have a
Great.
great day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, bye.